Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. I want to say Shalom to Yakim and Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you with another lesson. This one I've been wanting to do for a little bit. I touched on it in one of my other lessons. I can't remember which lesson it was a while back ago, but it's going in on, John D. Rockefeller and how he basically took over the medicine market and turned it into what it is today, because before then we were using different types of medicine. We were using herbs and stuff like that. So we're going to be getting in on that. I'm actually going to read some from this article. Let's see if I can flip it around. Somehow I can't. I'll just read through it, get some Bible verses, and we'll go from there. I'll put a link in the comments for the article that I'm reading. It's by Meridian Health Clinic, and it's titled "How Rockefeller Created the Business of Western Medicine." Let me see. Let me turn down this music a little bit. Alright, that should do it. Slakia. Alright, it says, starting from the top on it, it says, as an alternative medicine practitioner, we're going to skip that. Okay, we're going to start right here. Rockefeller is widely considered the wealthiest American of all time and the richest person in modern history. Rockefeller is probably most famous for securing a monopoly in America's oil market, but many people haven't heard the rest of the story. By the turn of the 20th century, Rockefeller controlled 90% of all petroleum refineries in America through the ownership of Standard Oil Corporation, which was later split into Mobil, Chevron, Exxon, and etc. Concurrently, around 1900, the science world was getting excited about new petrochemicals and the ability to create a variety of new compounds from oil. Some of the first products derived from petrochemicals were plastics, but organic chemists knew that oil had the potential to create far more than plastic bags. During the same era, early 1900s, scientists were doing groundbreaking work to understand the basic mechanics of life and human health. It was during this time that the most of the essential vitamins were discovered, including B1, B2, biotin, vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, etc. By identifying these vitamins, science took a huge step. Here we are. By identifying these vitamins, science took a huge step forward and enabled simple vitamin remedies to cure conditions that were caused by vitamin deficiencies, such as scurvy and rickets. And of course, scientists were also involved in research to recreate synthetic versions of these vitamins in a laboratory. So they started fucking around making synthetic versions of shit. Basically, science modified variants of vitamins that exist naturally, like vitamin C. You all know that you can get that from citrus fruits. Oranges are an example. Vitamin D, you get that from just being outside. I think vitamin A comes in milk. Let me go ahead and check that real quick. Yeah, milk comes from lots of dairies, fish, eggs, cheese, stuff like that. So there's already ways that we could get these things. It's just, Esau took it into their own hands to think that they were going to make synthetic versions, because if you make a synthetic version, you can actually charge money for it. We're actually going to get into that later, because if you just took, you can't, you can brand oranges, but it won't give you as much money as if you were to make a synthetic chemical that only you could sell, because everybody can sell oranges. But if you make a pill from oranges that's called, vitamin Cetofin or Citrofen, just call it something, crazy that they call it, you can actually trademark that and nobody else can sell it. So that's what they were looking into doing, especially Rockefeller. He wanted to monopolize the market, which he already had, but he wanted to monopolize it even more and make more money by setting up products that only he could sell. So let's go down in here. In 1935, vitamin C became the first vitamin to be artificially synthesized in Switzerland. Rockefeller was smart enough to see this as a big opportunity, with the possibility that vitamins and medications could be developed from petroleum. If y'all don't know, petroleum is essentially like oil, and petrol itself is gas. Let's just get the definition of petroleum. Petroleum is a liquid mixture of hydrocarbons that is present in certain rock strata and can be extracted and refined to produce fuels including gasoline, kerosene, diesel oil, and oil. So they're making these things from, gasoline and oil and shit. Let's see. With the possibility that vitamins and medications could be developed from petroleum, he saw the chance to control and monopolize multiple industries at once: petroleum, chemical, and medical. And of course, petrochemicals were ideal from a business perspective because they could be patented and owned and sold for high profits. And that's basically what I was getting in there. We're going to touch on that. That's what I was talking about earlier. See, if you make something synthetic, you can patent that because you made it in a lab. But if it's something natural, you can't patent grapes. You can't patent, a cow. You can't do that stuff. So that's why all these people, specifically John Rockefeller, it's Salakia, man, nose is itchy. I got the allergies today, and that's why he was looking into making these synthetic chemicals, so he could patent them, so he could get more money. So right here is where we're going to get into some of the dirt he was doing. It says, but there was a big problem with Rockefeller's plan. Natural and herbal medicines were very popular in America during the 1900s. People weren't messing around with all these what do you call them, big pharma medications, because they didn't really have anything like that. They were mostly using natural and herbal medicines like we were using in Israel, because those are the true healing ingredients that were gifted to us by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Said right here, I'll just read it again. Natural and herbal medicines were very popular in America during the 1900s. Almost one half of the medical colleges and doctors in America were practicing holistic medicine. And that's basically what holistic medicine is. We'll grab the definition for that real quick. Holistic medicine is a whole-body approach to healthcare that aims to improve health and wellness through the body, mind, and soul. Usually, holistic medicine combines traditional medicine and complementary alternative medicine. If we can get a better definition of here. Holistic medicine is essentially it's a combination of physical health, staying in shape, emotional health, not being in a dark, depressed state, and spiritual health, being closer to God, or whoever these people were worshiping at the time. They're probably going off of JC, which who knows. Using extensive knowledge from Europe and Native American traditions. It said almost half the medical colleges and doctors in America were practicing holistic medicine using extensive knowledge from Europe and Native American traditions. And as you know, the Native Americans are Israelites, so they were using some of the medical approaches that Native Americans were taking, which would have been some of the things that we were doing in Israel. The Native Americans are known for using herbs and other things to heal ailments and in their afflictions, Rockefeller knew that to get total control of the medical industry, he would have to expunge the competition. He'd have to get rid of the competition. So to start, Rockefeller used his vast oil money to purchase part of the German pharmaceutical company IG Farben. Now that he controlled a drug manufacturing company, he could move forward with his plan to get rid of the competition. in the early 1900s, there was a variety of doctors and healing modalities in America. Some of the medical specialties included chiropractic, naturopathy, homeopathy, holistic medicine, and herbal medicine. To eliminate the competition, Rockefeller hired a contractor named Abraham Flexner to submit a report to Congress in 1910. Now, this part's super important, so listen to this. This report that they wrote concluded that there were too many doctors and medical schools in America that were using all natural healing modalities, which had existed for hundreds of years, that were unscientific quackery. And I looked up quackery, and quackery basically just means stupidity. Slovakia, this music went on a weird start here. There we go. So, unscientific quackery. The report called for the standardization of medical education, whereby only the AMA, another monopoly that he owned, would be allowed to grant medical school licensure in the U.S. So if you weren't practicing exactly what Rockefeller wanted you to and these other elites wanted you to, you wouldn't have a medical license. He didn't want you to use this holistic medicine, this herbal medicine anymore. He wanted you to use his pills that he was making with fucking oil, you know? So reading down, Flexner's report had some valid points, but unfortunately the motives for the report were entirely driven by Rockefeller's desire to complete control of the medical system. Based on the report, Congress acted upon Flexner's recommendations and changed laws related to medical practice. Incredibly, allopathic medicine became the standard modality, even though at its time its main treatments were bloodletting, surgery, and the injection of toxic heavy metals to displace disease. With these legal changes in place, Rockefeller teamed up with Andrew Carnegie and started funding medical schools all over America on the strict condition that they only taught allopathic medicine. Let's grab allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine, or allopathy, is a term used to define science-based modern medicine. Pharmaceuticals, and such as nurses, pharmacists, and therapists, to treat symptoms and diseases using drugs, radiation, or surgery, also called biomedicine, conventional medicine, mainstream medicine, and Western medicine. So this is, allopathic medicine is what we know now. That's the main thing that we're using in pretty much all over the world, not just Babylon. Through the power of huge grants, the powerful team systematically dismantled the previous circula of these medical schools, removing any mention of the healing power of herbs or natural treatments. So they completely removed that from the book, said you're not to be teaching this anymore, you can't teach any of these things. You also couldn't teach, it says, removed teachings on diet and other natural non-drug treatments were also completely removed from medical programs. So if it was anything that wasn't putting a pill in your body, it was completely removed from any of the medical schools, and if you taught any of that stuff, you could have your license revoked. We'll go right here. After removing traditional medicine from schools, Rockefeller made sure to secure his monopoly by launching a targeted smear campaign against his competitors. Homeopathy. This music's getting on my nerves. It's better. Here we are. After removing traditional medicines from schools, Rockefeller made sure to secure his monopoly by launching a targeted smear campaign against his competitors. Homeopathy and natural medicines were discredited and demonized through the newspapers and other media of its times. Some doctors were even jailed for using natural medicine treatments, including treatments that had been used safely and effectively for decades before. In a very short time, medical colleges were all homogenized. Let's grab what homogenized means. Made similar. So medical colleges were all made similar. You weren't to be teaching anything different. They were all to be the same. All the students that were taught all All the students were taught the same allopathic system, and medicine was now defined as a process of prescribing patented drugs. A pill for an ill became the mindset for American medicine. Don't want to read more. I might as well just finish up the article. One shocking fact that I found while researching this post was that Rockefeller did not stop at the U.S. borders. Right here, he didn't stop in just Babylon the Great. He kept moving. He wanted to get it to everywhere. Now, let me grab that. It's lucky I have my keyboard in a weird position right now to make space for my phone. Grab this real quick. This is Revelation 18:3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich throughout the abundance of her delicacies. So, even though it's not Babylon the Great, Babylon's wine, its wickedness is spread throughout the corners of earth, from one place to another. It's all over the place. All of these nations have drank of the wine of Babylon. So, and that's perfect that came up, because right there we got a biblical point of view from it right there in Revelation 18:3. So we're gonna continue going on from that. He actually went to China to spread Western medicine. Upon hearing this, I actually got chills down my spine. Rockefeller wasn't content with just wiping out traditional medicine in America. He saw a bigger market on the other side of the world and wanted to remove traditional Chinese medicine from China. And traditional Chinese medicine is a lot similar to the natural medicines that we were using. Pretty much every nation had a form of using herbs to heal. It wasn't just us. We were the ones that were obviously the best at it, but other nations were using it too, because back in the day you didn't have pills. You had the herbs and the flowers and the fruits and the vegetables that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai placed on this earth for us to use. So we didn't have no pills like that. But Esau found a way to dig deep into the ground and bring up oils and synthetically make things to turn these things into poisons. And even if they use an herb in the pill or something like that, they got a whole bunch of other shit in there that's just going to completely mess up the whole process of how it's supposed to be naturally anyway. It's a bunch of witchcraft. Luckily, his venture in China mostly failed, and the practice of traditional medicine was preserved for centuries to come. To quick summarize what happened in China, the China Medical Board was created in 1941 by Rockefeller Foundation and provided with a $12 million grant. The RF's goal was to modernize medical education to improve the practice of I'm getting ready to just turn this music off. There we go. With a $12 million grant, the RF's goal was to modernize medical education and improve the practice of medicine in China. They started by building a hospital, but they were unable to expand to other locations as planned due to mounting expenses. Just grabbing some of that sparkling water. So, they tried it over there, but it wasn't as big of a success as it was over here. They still practice a little bit out over there. But here, that's pretty much wiped out. You can't go into any hospital, and then they're not going to prescribe you, ginger. They're not going to prescribe you, for example, they're not going to take you to take like a spoonful of honey, or they're not going to prescribe you, a spoonful of turmeric or turmeric tea. They're not going to be doing any of that. They're not going to be giving you ginger, turmeric. They're not going to be giving you anything herb-wise. What they're going to do is you're going to go in there and you say I have some pain. What they're going to do is they're going to prescribe you some type of opiate, most likely. And, they've been covering up their shit. They're not prescribing opiates as much now, but they'll probably give you something else. It's just, they'll give you a 500 milligram ibuprofen or some shit. They won't tell you to go and, even use stones, let's see. I got a bunch of stones here. You go ahead and get yourself a piece of amethyst, right there. Get yourself a piece of amethyst. Right here, this has a bunch of healing properties. You know, I actually got a book, my book for lessons, notes I take. You know, it's got a bunch of stuff in there, a bunch of scriptures. But I actually have a thing for the rocks in here. And you know, some people, you know, there'll be some Jake out there to say, oh, you know, that's witchcraft because, you know, these pagans use it for that. But you got to realize that everything that they use on the left-hand side, we use on the right-hand side. We're the original people that did these things, but they turn around and flip it and make it, you know, they make it wicked by, you know, but when you use these, you know, you always got to pray to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They pray to other deities and do a bunch of wickedness, you know. But so this is amethyst. As you can see, it's purple. You can get it pretty much anywhere. I got mine in a mall and in a little rock store that they had. It says amethyst is good for anxiety. It heals your lungs. It's good for itching and for a headache. So, you know, if you got a headache or something like that or pain, you don't even need the ibuprofen. You know, and sometimes where you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna take an ibuprofen, but you know, always try to use something like this first. I got a few other things right here too. I'll just go into those real quick since we're going into how he messed up medicine. These are, you know, these are medicine too. You know, these are all medicine. So this right here, this is citrine. Citrine is good for depression and digestion. You know, so really the rocks aren't all entirely the ones doing it. It's you're using these and through praying to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, these can heal you, just because Yahweh Shem Yahushai ultimately is the one that's doing all the healing. Green fluorite right here is good for detoxing, fungal infections, stuff like that. And this is what is this? I think this is selenite. This is good for pain, for teeth pain or teeth poisoning, general pain. If you're going through withdrawal, if you just quit smoking, if you got in this truth and you just quit smoking, this can help you as well. Purification, you know, it's good for holiness. Just like if you use Palo Santo and sage, it's also good. This is also good for cancer, it says. Now, you know, we aren't medical professionals or anything, but you know, the person you really got to pray to and talk to about, you know, should you be using these things at the end of the day is Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So, you know, put these up, but we're going to continue reading on. It says, no, that's pretty much it, actually. Okay, yeah, no, this is actually good right here because we just got into how that mineral can help with cancer. It says, in short, the diligent work of Rockefeller and Carnegie was a smashing success that crushed the underfunded grassroots competition and created our current medical system. The system continues today, wherein Big Pharma makes large donations to medical schools in exchange for teaching the medical students how to use their patented drugs. As a part of the system, many alternative treatments are criminalized. For example, by law, it is illegal to treat cancer with any modality except chemotherapy, surgery, or radiation. So you can't treat cancer in any way except being prescribed pills, having radiation blasted at you, or getting cut open. When it's been proved, I think they proved that turmeric was really good for cancer, and people were actually removing it that way. And I think saffron was another one, and you know, the minerals and stuff like that. So, you know, it says right here, it's actually a criminal felony for a medical practitioner to treat cancer with anything but those three things. Why the case? Follow the money. The average cost of cancer treatment is $150,000. So clearly Rockefeller and his precedents were keen to keep the monopoly on this one. And of course, the American Cancer Society was founded none other by John D. Rockefeller in 1913. So right there, boom, called him on his bullshit. You know, this is what these Edomites do. This is what they do. So we're going to get into a few scriptures here. This is Ecclesiastes 12 and 10, and it reads, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so does his wickedness." And you know how iron goes. If you put water on it, and if you get iron and it starts rusting, say if you had an iron bar and you put water on it and it started rusting, if you take that iron bar before it had that rust on it, and you went like this, it's not going to snap. But as soon as that rust gets on it, you know, it becomes very brittle and starts breaking away. And basically, that's what's happening to this devil. His wickedness is starting to rust. You know, as iron rusteth, so does his wickedness. It's starting to you know, it's basically starting to play out, and everyone's starting to see him for who this devil really is. And this is 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage on us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And that's a big thing in this truth. You always gotta be keeping an eye out and watching and looking for the signs of the time, and digging up dirt on this devil, Esau Edom, this whole white man, because, you know, we're not to be ignorant of his devices. You always want to know what's going on, just like with the you know, the thing that's going on right now. If you weren't in this truth, you'd most likely be getting it. But when we're in this truth, we know about all the stuff that's behind it. You know, we're turning into Magneto and shit, and you don't even know what's going to bounce off with all that. We know about these things, so we're not ignorant of his devices. We're not to be ignorant of his devices. You have to know what's going on, because you don't want to be caught up without any information. That's the worst thing you could do, especially in these end days. This is Ecclesiasticus 14:7, touching on Esau and his wickedness. If he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. So if he happens to just make something, say if he makes, let me just come up with something, what would be a good example? Okay, say if he was creating this giant ray beam, this laser beam, and I'm just, you know, coming up with some random shit, because, you know, Esau's always making some inventions. Say if they came up with a giant laser beam that was supposed to, you know, blast down to people's houses and, you know, give them brain cancer or something like that. But they found out when they actually used it, and ended up clearing people's brain cancer, ended up healing them of brain cancer. They didn't mean to do that. If he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at last he will declare his wickedness. Get out of there. So, you know, if this devil does anything that benefits society in any way, it wasn't meant to be that way anyway, and it was most likely intended to be the opposite. Not even most likely, it was 100% meant to be the opposite. It was meant to cause chaos and destruction, not fix things. But that's just an act of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, letting something blow up in this devil's face. He tried to go do something that would hurt a bunch of people, and Yahweh Shem Yahushai turns around and says, you know what, guess what? Now you were trying to give those people this disease or whatever, but you actually end up just curing them of that disease. This is Jeremiah 17:5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. So, if you're out there and you're not listening to the prophets, and you're not listening to what Yahweh Shem Yahushai says, and you're not listening to things that are in the Bible, you're essentially cursed. You know, you're gonna be your heart is departed from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and things aren't gonna go your way. That's why all these people that are out in the world are always, you know, saying, oh, I was praying and nothing was happening, and all these bad things were happening to me, even though, you know, I go to church every Sunday. You know, they're not even praying to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. They're praying to a false god. They're going by JC, which is a completely different person. It's an Edomite, you know. From on there, we'll move on. So, and this is James 5:16. This is getting into we're going to be getting into some scriptures on healing. Here we go. James 5:16. Confess your faults to one another and pray for one another, that ye may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So, you know, if you do get any of these elements or these afflictions or these diseases, pestilences, plagues, things like that, you're supposed to pray. That's the biggest thing you're supposed to do, is pray. And if you're in a group of people, if you have other brothers that you live near, if you're near camp, or you know, if you're teaching or whatnot, what you should be teaching, whether it's making lessons or going out on the highways and byways, you got to be doing some sort of work. You should be going out on the highways and byways as well. But, you know, at the very least, if you're just getting into this truth, you got to make videos at least, man. Yeah, we'll read that one more time. confess your faults to one another, and pray for one another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. The prayer of a righteous man availeth much. It does, what's a word I'm looking for? I'm trying to put it in simpler terms. Essentially doeth a lot of good, does a lot of good. The prayer of a righteous man will help, you know. So if you have brothers near you, and you're going through something, if you're in pain or something like that, if they pray over you, that can heal you, you know. That can heal you, and you got to do praying too. You got to pray constantly. We're never supposed to stop praying. We're supposed to constantly be praying to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. This is James 5:15. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if he committeth sins, they shall be forgiven him. So if you're sick, if you're ill, you just gotta pray. You gotta pray and talk to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and ask for healing, and ask, you know, what can you do for healing, and he'll give you the answer. This is Psalms 103:2 to 103:4. It says, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with lovingness and tender mercies." So, said it right there, plain as day, who forgiveth all iniquities and healeth all thy diseases. If you're going through something, pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But, you know, that's all I really had to go in. 1 minute here. If you're going through something, all you got to do is just pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That's the most important thing to do, because no one else can do the things that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai can do. You know, he's the only one that can save us from this place. He's the only one that can heal us, because Esau, Edom sure ain't gonna be able to save us, and Esau, they're actively working to destroy us and kill us, and they're sure not gonna be the ones healing us, because just as that article said, and you can look around, these medicines, if you see the ads on TV and stuff, you look at it and it says, oh, it heals headaches, and then the side effects are, you know, back pain, ear pain, eye aches, may cause blindness, dizziness, deafness, may cause abdominal issues, may lack of mobility, sudden death, not being able to sleep at night, insomnia, just a bunch of stuff, and so then you get that one thing cured, and you have all these things, and then you're dealing with those things. So you're going to say, hey, look, I'm dealing with this, you know, I got this abdominal pain, and they're going to prescribe you a thing for that adds 30 other side effects. So you just healed 2 things, and you just got 40 other side effects from that. You know, that ain't the type of healing. When you pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and you use these herbs, you don't get any other side effects. The only effect of doing that is being healed if Yahweh Hashem Yahushai decides to have mercy on you, you know. But so, you know, that's pretty much it. That's the lesson I just wanted to go in on. I've been wanting to do that for a little bit now. I know I touched on it in one of my other lessons. It wasn't the main focus. I ended up just going off on it for a little bit. I just rambled on in one of my videos, and for some reason something brought it up, but I want to dedicate a whole lesson to it so it's easy to find, you know. But you know, with that, I'm gonna close out. Hope it was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Hope it was edifying. Until the next one, Shalom. Until the next one, Lord willing. Shalom.